Hello everyone. Can you see me or hear me? Can you give me a quick yes or no? If you are able to see me and hear me, let me quickly check also if I'm audible and visible and also live, because that's of course, the biggest fear that we have. That here am I speaking away to glory, and there you are not getting what am I speaking about. Okay, so I'm able to see. Not getting. All right, I'm also audible and visible. Okay, wonderful. So let's get started, guys. Today we are talking about the NMIMS competency test. Now, what is this? And why are we even talking about an NMIMS competency test when you've already written NMAT? Yes, from the month of November to December, every single day NMAT had a test, and all of us, so many of us, wrote the NMAT by GMAT. So, what is this NMIMS competency test and why has it come back or why is it here? So, now let's understand that in the second part of the admissions process, that is the personality development part of it, NMAT or Narsi Munji decided to have a competency test. In the previous year, they had a Watson Glaser test, which was some sort of critical reasoning, some sort of reasoning test that they had. Now, this year they have replaced it with an NMIMS competency test. So, when you go in for your interview, the first thing you do is you will write this competency test. Once you've written the competency test, then you will come to the second part of the interview, wherein you will have an interview panel which will comprise of an AI interviewer and a human interviewer. So first you come and you go to the computer lab where the competency test will happen. Once the competency test is done, then you go to the interview room where a computer is set up in front of you. You sit there and you interact with an AI interviewer. The AI interviewer has been fed with details about you. So it will ask you questions related to your CV. After that, the human interviewer who's there also in the panel will also ask you a few questions as part of your competency test. Hi, guys, all of you who are here, welcome. And I'm so happy to have you in this session where we are going to be talking about the NMIMS competency test and what all it will comprise of. And of course, I will do a few questions so that you get some idea. We've had some information from some of our students. So this is what we are going to be talking about. So what is the NMIMS competency test? I hope you have understood. It is part of the PDP process where you will have the competency test and then you will have the interview, which will also include an AI interview. So what is this competency test all about? Let's understand. So the competency test has three sections to it. It has a verbal ability section, it has a mental ability section, and it has a managerial ability section. The verbal ability section, well, the first two tests that we came to know did not have any reading comprehension. The first one said only critical reasoning and some portions. But now we have a very clear picture that there is critical reasoning, there are 3 questions. Synonyms and antonyms, there is 1 question. Reading comprehension, there is 1 set which has 3 questions again. Then there is a para summary and a para completion. Now, please understand this is very much like, this is actually not para completion. Let me rewrite it and say it is a sentence placement question. So very much like CAT, the questions that you have in CAT, similar questions you have got here. So you've got a reading comprehension, you've got a para summary, you've got a sentence placement, you've got basic critical reasoning, the GRE type, strengthen, weaken, and stuff like that. And then you've got a couple of questions on reading comprehension and vocabulary. So that's the verbal ability section. In the mental ability, you have data arrangement and assertion reason questions, right? And in the managerial ability, you have decision making and some set on, so different questions, different sets have had different, questions. So essentially, some sort of analytical reasoning set is part of your managerial ability. So today we are going to be discussing critical reasoning, the various types of questions that we have heard have come, and we will take it forward from there. So what I'm going to discuss is some course of action, some cause effect, and some other related questions that have been part of your exam. So essentially, I'm taking up critical reasoning and I'm taking up assertion reason for today's session. I hope you are all able to hear me and see me. If you are, can you also, guys, share this session with your friends and family and with your colleagues, people who are writing this? You can put it in your Telegram groups. Also, please like the session. So I'm happy. The minute I see a lot of likes, that just makes me very, very happy. And also, please make sure that you have subscribed to the session, because if you have not subscribed, you'll not be able to participate in the chat. So please make sure that you have subscribed, so that you and I, we can discuss these questions and take a look at what is happening in this. Because of course this is the first time the NMIMS competency test is happening, and anything that's new is always, there's that element of surprise and the element of fear that happens in our mind, that what is this and why have they given it. Well, why have they given it, I don't know, but surely what is this, I'm able to explain to you. It's a test of verbal ability, mental ability, and managerial ability. So they decided to bring you to NMIMS and then make you write one more test. Maybe they were looking at some more skills of yours, and but the good thing is this paper is very similar to what you would have prepared already for CAT, for ZAT, for NMAT, and so on. So therefore, it should not be that much of a problem. It's only that because it's unknown, it's the first time, therefore we are afraid. Anyway, let's take a look at our questions. I have brought in 5 topics. I'm going to be covering cause effect. I'm going to be covering course of action. I'm going to be doing passage inference questions. I'm going to be doing some assertion reason questions. Okay, I hope this is good for you. Let's take a look at these questions. So here's my first question. Now this is a course of action question. Now what is a course of action? So in a course of action question, a statement is given, a problem statement is given, and then that problem statement is followed by 2 courses of actions numbered 1 and 2. You have to identify which of these courses of action is a valid course of action. Please understand, a course of action is a step or administrative decision to be taken for improvement, follow up, or further action in regard to the problem on the basis of the information given. You assume whatever is given to be true and then decide which of the courses of action will logically follow. Remember, whenever there is a problem, the number one thing you should keep in mind is you must have a top-down approach. That means when you're looking at a solution, look at yourself as the authority in that area, that you are the person who has to decide what to do and then subsequently take a decision. That's number 1. Number 2, any action that you take must always be legal, must always be ethical, and must always be practical. So legal, ethical, and practical is the keyword here. Okay, so number 1, you're the top-down authority. Number 2, the solution has to be legal, ethical, and practical. Number 3 thing that you must remember is you will try to remove the problem, do away with it, okay, or you will try to reduce the intensity of the problem. But first of all, you must always try to solve the problem. So solve the problem, remove it, or reduce it. That's what you are going to be doing in a course of action question. Now take a look at this question that we have here. It's a very nice question. It says medical facilities in many villages in India are inadequate. Okay, so the medical facilities are not as strong as we would want it to be. Courses of action. The government of India should make it mandatory for all MBBS students to complete a minimum period of 6 months as internship in the villages of India. Now, if all the MBBS students go to villages for 6 months, wouldn't there be a lot of doctors in the villages? Because of course, every year you have a number of doctors who are coming out. So for all MBBS students, if they go for 6 months internship, then you will have plenty of doctors in plenty of villages. So this could make sense. Some additional incentive should be given to all those junior doctors who agree to work in the village. Now, are we looking at, saying that some junior doctors will be there who will be willing to work in these hospitals? And should we, Pay them extra? Okay. Now, let's understand. The solution has to be, you are the top-down authority. So think of it as the government of India. You're the government. What is it that you should do? Should you make it mandatory for all the MBBS students to complete a minimum period of 6 months as internship in the villages? But can we really send all the MBBS students? Isn't this too extreme? Yes, it is. So therefore, the minute I said all the students, then it became very extreme and therefore not a valid answer. Some additional incentive should be given to all the junior doctors who agree to work in the villages. But what about the senior doctors? And why should the junior doctors be given additional incentives? Isn't it that it's also part of their job to be working in the villages? So therefore, 2 also does not really make a lot of sense. So here, the correct answer for us will be neither 1 nor 2 follows. Okay. I hope you get that. Guys, you can also give me the answer and I'll be very happy to take your answers. Okay. So here the correct answer as of now is D, neither follows, and that becomes the correct answer. All right. Let's go to the next one. Here's the next question. Okay. Malpractices by students during examinations have increased considerably. So that means children are doing some wrong things during examinations if they have increased. So number 1 option says students that are detected to have used unfair means in the exam should be debarred from appearing in any of the examinations for the next 3 years. The second one says all school and college authorities should immediately take effective measures to stop this menace. So what are they saying? That this is a menace and therefore you must take some action. All right. Take a look at this option. So option number 1 says students that have been using unfair means should be debarred from appearing in any of the exams for the next 3 years. Now, if you debar a student for, let's say, 3 years, then the problem is that his career will be derailed completely. So therefore, can you do something like this? No. But should we ask the college and school authorities to take measures to stop this menace? Yes. So therefore, in this case, the correct answer is going to be only 2 follows or B. Okay. So therefore, your answer should be B. Only 2 follows. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the next type of question. Now, this is the assertion reason question. Now, in assertion reason, you are given 2 statements. Okay. You read the statement. One is an assertion. It's a statement. The second is a reason. And you have to tell if both of them are true or if they are false. Okay, that's the first thing. Which one is true, which one is false? Once you have identified that both are true, then you have to tell if the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion or if the reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion. So you're not only identifying if they're true or false. Once you've identified both are true, then you say if the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion or not. If one of them is false or both of them are false, then your answer surely becomes C, D, or E. Okay. So therefore, this is how you will solve. First, check for the true value if they're true or false. Once you've identified they're true or false, then you can go and check if the reason is the correct explanation. Okay, and then you can mark your answer accordingly. Assertion reason is actually a question of general knowledge, even though it appears in the reasoning section. Please understand this. So if your general knowledge is correct, you'll be able to answer this question. Please do not use the rules of cause effect in this question. Okay, we have a set of questions called the cause effect questions. They are a question type from reasoning, but their rules will not apply in the assertion reason question. The assertion reason questions will always have a general knowledge base, and therefore when you are solving these questions, please remember that and please make sure that you are using the rules of assertion reason to solve these questions. Okay, let's take a look. So the first question says the frequency of floods in the North Indian plains has increased during the last couple of decades. So there are much more floods that are happening. The next one says there is a reduction in the depth of river valleys due to deposition of silt. So silt or sand is getting deposited in the river valleys. And because of that, the depth of the river valleys has been reduced. Earlier, maybe the river valleys was this, now it is this. So when the water comes, earlier it used to fit in. Now there is no space, so the water floods out. And therefore, probably there is a flood. Now, all you need to do is first check if these statements are true or not. The frequency of floods in the North Indian plain has increased. This is true. There has been a reduction in the depth of river valleys due to deposition of silt is also true. Now, all I need to do is check if this reduction is the reason for the frequency of the floodplains, which it is. And therefore, the correct answer will be option number A, that both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. That means both the assertion and reason are true and the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. All right, let's go to the next question. Here you are. The question is the President of India is its first citizen. The reason is the President of India is elected by an electoral college which consists of elected MPs and elected MLAs. Now, are these true or false? And if they are, then what is the correct answer? Okay. So, is the President the first citizen of the country? Come on, guys. Anyone? Any answer to this? Any thought? Yes, the president is the first citizen. That is true. The president is elected by an electoral college which has elected MPs and elected MLAs is also true. Correct? But is this the reason why the president is the first citizen? No. So both the statements are true, but the reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion. And therefore, your answer here will be option number B. That both A and R, both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of A. Now, this again was a very pure general knowledge question, right? It comes, assertion reason you can find in any type of question. If you are from one of the CBSE board students, if you are one of the CBSE board students, you know they give you assertion reason in every topic. But that's a test of your knowledge, not a test of your reasoning. So just that, keep that in mind. All right. Let's look at the next one. So here a passage is given followed by a question and some options are given and you have to identify if which of the options will be valid. So the question here says which of the following most seriously strengthens the given argument. Strengthening the argument means supporting it, right? Now in this case we know that first of all we need to find out what the argument is and then strengthen the argument. Okay. So let's take a look. It says the oil billionaire J. Paul Getty was famously miserly. He was very miserly. He installed a payphone in his mansion in Surrey to stop visitors from making long distance calls. He didn't want them to make STD calls. He refused to pay ransom for a kidnapped grandson for so long that the frustrated kidnapper sent Getty his grandson's ear in the mail. He did not want to pay. Yet he spent millions of dollars on art and millions more to build the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. He called himself an apparently incurable art collecting addict. So he said that he was an art collector, he was addicted, and noted that he had vowed to stop collecting several times only to suffer massive relapses. So he was a crazy collector. Fearful of airplanes and too busy to take the time to sail to California from his adopted hometown of London, he never even visited the museum his money had filled. How interesting. So here is a man who's very miserly. He's scared of his planes and everything, and he did not even visit the museum that he had created. Now, which of these statements will strengthen or support the given argument? Now, please understand when the question says strengthen, there are two things you can do. You can either find a paraphrase of this statement, or else you can find some supporting evidence for this argument. Both of these are ways of strengthening an argument by just finding a supporting evidence or by finding a statement that is a paraphrasing. Okay. All right, let's take a look. A research article recently pointed out that most of Getty's spending records might have been tampered with before being made accessible to public. Okay, so we are saying that his spending records might have been tampered. So therefore, we don't know if he's actually as miserly as we say he is. That collectors of art are often known to appear stingy, though they are actually not so, is a well-known idea. Now, this can be a good answer, because then this says that, oh, this will also not be a great answer. This will also say that the given argument is not really correct. Okay, that he was famously miserly. If all of them are stingy, though they appear to be stingy, even though they are not actually so, is a well-known idea. Getty was a selectively compulsive spender. Now, if he was a selectively compulsive spender, this is actually correct, because he's buying so much money to make the museum, to buy millions of dollars on art. Okay, so he is what? He's selectively compulsive. And this is what the passage says. So this is a good paraphrase of what we have said till now. So this can be your answer. Look at the fourth one, Getty's grandson. We are not worried about Getty's grandson being released. Okay, no. Getty refused to pay ransom. Again, this was not really the right answer. So the one that really kind of sums up this passage and says that, okay, he spent a lot of money on things that he really wanted to, is being mentioned in option number C. And therefore, that will be the one that strengthens your argument. So remember, when you're strengthening, either find a paraphrase or find supporting evidence. Here we had a very clear paraphrase, and therefore the correct answer had to be C. All right, let's look at the next one. Now, which of the following, if true, most weakens the above argument? Now, how to weaken? There are three ways. Number one, you can prove that the argument is false. Okay. So you say that the argument or conclusion is false. That's the simplest way of saying it. Two, you find an alternative conclusion. So if the passage says it is raining on Mondays, you say it is raining on Wednesdays. So find an alternative conclusion, that also weakens. The third is to find a reason for an alternative conclusion. Okay. So if you find a reason for an alternative conclusion, that also works. Okay. So these are the three ways you can weaken a conclusion. Now let's take a look. The classical method of singing is considered to be better than any other form of singing. However, okay, many modern singers are not following the classical method. They are earning a lot of popularity by following their own style. Hence, we can definitely state that the classical method of singing has outlived its usefulness. So the conclusion of the argument is that the classical method of singing has outlived its usefulness. That means it is no longer useful. Now, what we have to say is that it is useful even now, right? Okay, so let's take a look. So option number A says many modern singers also use other form of singing and earn money. But does this talk about classical method of singing? No. So A is irrelevant for us. Let's look at B. Many listeners still enjoy. Listeners we don't really care about. We're talking of singers. So eliminate B. It's irrelevant for us. The number of classical concerts has shown a steady decline in the last few years. Okay. If the number of classical concerts has shown a decline, then classical method of singing has outlived its usefulness. So therefore, C is also incorrect. It is strengthening. Singers using the classical method of singing still earn a lot of popularity. So if these singers who are using the classical method still earn a lot of popularity, then can I say that classical method of singing has outlived its usefulness? No. So this is one that will weaken. Look at E. The number of classical songs in movies has increased. This is not really relevant for us. Classical song numbers has increased. How much? Which movies? We don't know. So E is actually not a very strong contender. So best answer here that weakens the conclusion will be option number D. Okay, and that's your answer. All right. Let's look at the next one. So the next one says, which one of the following definitely follows from the above paragraph? Okay, so you're looking for a conclusion. The passage says, Pritha is clearly a gem of a girl. She has steadily improved her range of knowledge by exercising her mind. She is a voracious reader too. Her commitment to learning is an example for her classmates. So we are saying that Pritha is a gem of a girl. How do I know that? Because she's improving her range of knowledge, she's exercising her mind, she's a voracious reader, she has a great commitment to learning. Okay, so which of these will definitely follow from the passage? So let's take a look. The first one says that Pritha is a hardworking professional. We don't know. She has classmates, so I cannot assume that she's a hardworking professional. So does not follow. She will succeed in the corporate world. Again, how do we know she will succeed in the corporate world from the school thing? No. She has shown enough commitment to be considered a role model for her peers. Yes, she is an example for her classmates. So three can be a good choice. Pritha loves reading more than anything else. More than anything else, this comparison is not mentioned and this cannot be concluded. So eliminate. Pritha has read the highest number of books in her class. Again, she has read the highest number of books. We don't know. So eliminate. So of all these options, the only one that you can really conclude is option number C. Now, if you're looking for something that definitely follows, what you can also do is you can check this out. So Pritha is a gem of a girl. She steadily improved her range of knowledge, exercises her mind, is a voracious reader. She's a commitment to learning and an example for her classmates. And that is why we know that she's shown enough commitment to be considered a role model for her peers. So C then becomes a very good choice of answer for us. Okay. All right. Let's look at the next question. Which of the following is implied in the above passage? Of course, you're trying to identify the inference. It wasn't right on your part to go against your parents' wishes. They raised you after all. Okay. So essentially, what he's saying is that you should have gone with your parents' wishes. Why? Because they have raised you. So that is what you are looking at. So, what is the implication here? Let's quickly take a look. So option number 1 says a child is indebted to his or her parents, so she must accord some importance to their wishes. Okay. So because they have raised you, so you are indebted, and so therefore you should have gone with your parents' wishes. So A could be an answer. Let's look at B. Children often tend to rebel and end up being callous towards their parents. Well, this is not implied in the passage, and this is too generic for the passage. It's not fair. Okay, the passage did not say what was fair or not, that children be made to toe the line for their entire lives just because their parents raised them. The tone of this statement is so different from the actual question statement. There's been such a big tone mismatch that clearly C cannot be the right answer. Look at D. Parents don't often understand the perspectives and choices that their own children grow up with. Now, the passage or the question statement was not about parents. So therefore D is irrelevant. Okay, so eliminate. Look at E. Children and parent almost always have diametrically opposite takes on everything. We don't know if they always have diametrically opposite takes on everything. This is again too strong. So E cannot be the right answer. So the best answer here is option number A, that the child is indebted to his or her parents. So he or she must accord some importance to their wishes. Okay. All right. Okay. Now here is a set of cause effect questions. Now in the cause effect questions, you're given again two statements and you have to identify what is their relationship. Now, if you find that there is a causal relationship between the two statements, all you need to do is identify A or B as the answer. If you realize that they are both effects of a common cause, that means both of them can be drawn back to a one common cause, then answer will be 3. If both of them are very separate, both of them have different causes, then answer becomes 4. Or if it is none of these, then you mark 5. All right. So let's take a look. So statement number 1 says almost all of moon is exposed to sunlight. Okay. Ice could only exist on moon in few areas. So what we are saying is that ice cannot exist in the moon uh, in a lot of areas, only in a few areas. Why? Because almost all of moon is exposed to sunlight. So when I ask why B, excuse me, I get because A. So when I ask why ice can exist only on the moon in few areas, that's because almost all of the moon is exposed to sunlight. So there is a causal relationship. So A is the cause and B is the effect. So answer will be option number 1. A is the cause and B is the effect. So all you need to do is ask why between the statements. So you ask why A. If the answer is B, then option number 2 becomes the answer. If you ask why B and answer is A, then option number 1 becomes the answer. So just as simple as that. All right, let's take a look at this one. The president took time off his schedule to meet his mother who was very ill. Okay, so the president took out time and went to meet his mother because the mother was very, very unwell. Okay. Now, look at the second one. The president's mother had an indelible impression on his upbringing. So the mother had a very strong impression, unremovable impression on his upbringing. So that is why he took time off. So if I ask, why did the president take time off his schedule to meet his mother? The answer will be because the mother left an indelible impression on his upbringing. So B is the cause and A is the effect. So if B is the cause and A is the effect, the answer is going to be option number 2. And that then becomes your correct answer. Okay, guys? All right, that brings me to the end of this session. I hope the questions that I have done with you will be helpful to you and that you will be able to find some comfort in this. Remember, like we said, the topics I've already told you: cause effect, course of action, reading comprehension, synonyms, antonyms, sentence completion, para completion, sorry, not para completion, sentence placement, para jumbles, summary. Yeah, exactly the type of questions that you have practiced till now. And reasoning, of course, you have got course of action, cause effect, you've got assertion reason, you've got statement inference, para inference, all of these. So basic reasoning type of questions. Okay, so please try and practice this. You have all the content at hand. So practice your content and don't worry, relax, be comfortable and write your NMIMS competency test. If you have any doubts or any thoughts, you can always leave your feedback in the chat box. Okay, just comment. And if you have any questions, we'll get back to you on that. If you have any feedback, also do that. If you haven't hit the like button, please make sure that you like the session. If you did actually, and please also share it with other people. People will need this session. And also remember to please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notification for all our further sessions also. Thank you so much. This is me, Abhilasha, signing off. Adios, my amigos. I will see you soon.